Yeah, you have to find your allies and then show people that you can do, that you walk the talk, and still also be humble about it.
Welcome to reVyven, where environmental ideas come to life. At reVyven, we aim to connect, learn, and make a difference.
Hello and welcome to reVyven. Today we're in our studio with Nicole Keller from GreenUp. She serves as the managing director, and we're really looking forward to this conversation. Today has been a really long day for you.
True.
We just spent the afternoon with Nicole at a fantastic workshop series that you're running through your Go Simple program. And we'll talk about that in a bit more detail. But welcome. And to start us off, could you tell us a bit about yourself?
Sure. So I'm Nicole. I'm Dutch. I live in Davos, and I have a family with 2 boys and a husband. And so I'm responsible for managing the association GreenUp. I studied business originally, but never worked in companies. I guess I was always kind of a social entrepreneur before knowing even the word existed, because I set up a project in the Netherlands, and from there different jobs came, but never fully in like the business sector, always very social, educational, comms.
And how did you get involved in GreenUp?
Right. So then I did, during my last job in Italy, I did a fellowship, Leadership for Sustainable Development. And then when my husband got a job in Davos, we moved there. And then I said, okay, now I'm going to put this into practice. I'm going to work in and on sustainability. So I tried to figure out what is there then in Davos around sustainability. And then there was this association that just started, did a few events, and that was GreenUp, previously known as Umweltplattform, that was there. And then I went to an event, and then I volunteered, and then I said, but I can actually also do more. And then one thing led to another.
That's fantastic. And how long have you been with GreenUp, Nicole?
So that was 2017. So almost, 7 years, I guess.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And what do you like most about the work you're currently doing?
I like to create. I like to help create structures that help other people to thrive, and then in this case, when it comes to sustainability, really to empower the people that they can act and be more sustainable.
That's great. And since we're talking about sustainability, what does that term mean to you? And the reason I asked, Nicole, is because it's a word that I think has different meanings to different people and different organizations. It's actually a word that I think some people love to hate. So, what does it mean to you or to the organization?
Yeah, that's a really good question. In general, I think sustainability is about really trying to live kind of conscious about the environment that you live in, and have that connection. But when we started to also think like, what do we want to focus on or in when it comes to sustainability, we really wanted to focus on this concept of less is more. And which is not very easy, it's very easy to say, but it's not a very easy message to pass on to people. So that is kind of how we defined. There are like also sustainability strategies. You can be more efficient. So you kind of do things a little bit more on the margin, energy efficiency, for example. But less is more about sufficiency, and like when is enough enough? And that was something that we really felt, if we can get people somehow to embrace that in a positive way, then we have a big impact.
Yeah. So before I get too far, I'm ahead of myself. Can you just introduce GreenUp to our listeners? And obviously, you have a focus on sustainability. Part of your mission is this concept of less is more. But what exactly does GreenUp focus on? What are your key initiatives? What are your projects?
So, so we want to really empower people to live better with less. And we do that through workshops. For example, we do different workshops in companies, and very concretely, those are around the topics of food and circularity. We do bigger projects. You mentioned already Go Simple, which is a program for households. But we also do other projects, like the Climate Hub Davos. You also mentioned that as well, which is also kind of creating an enabling environment, but that is alongside the World Economic Forum. So that is really more focused on companies and businesses. So those are kind of or two lines of business, if you will. But we also do local impact projects, so very, very small and hands-on. So one is Swap Ticino, so where we really empower people to start swapping their clothes with each other and learning about the facts of fast fashion and what you can actually do around slow fashion, what that is. Or in Davos, we run a project around organic waste for private that doesn't exist yet. And also urban gardening, biological gardening projects.
That's great. And when you say organic waste, is this primarily composting?
It's both. It's creating the opportunity for private people to at least separate their organic waste, because at the moment that does not exist.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a big initiative, I would imagine, since you're starting from the very
Yes, but
beginning.
we always do very hands-on and tangible, and try to kind of start with a pilot and then see if we can build that out and scale it up.
Yeah. Oh, that's excellent. And I just wanted to touch on less is more, because I think when people hear that connotation, they think, oh, I'm going to be deprived, or I have to do some radical lifestyle change. How do people embrace less is more without feeling like they're missing something?
That's a very good question to start with. I always try to explain it, of course, that it's not about like, I do think that you need to make changes, but those changes can bring a lot. So I like, for example, the when you talk about riding your bike, right? So instead of taking the car, so it has a lot of plus plus plus. So I ride my bike. I'm doing exercise, which is also an issue in our society. We're not getting enough exercise. I perceive the world in a different way than when I'm in the car. And I'm not emitting any CO2. So this is for me how I try to frame it. Same with growing your own vegetables, for example. Also, many people are very rushed in life, and they are looking for, I don't know, spas or yoga retreats or and then I think, well, just grow your own vegetables, and you have to kind of really become focused on the earth and the things, and make it really small. And it's hard work, but it also gives you satisfaction, and it can bring you a lot. So it's those kind of examples that I try to bring for that approach of less is more.
Yeah. I think those are excellent examples, Robert.
Yeah, it's
Sorry.
not so much minimalism where you're living with less or living with almost hardly anything.
Yeah.
It's more just making smarter choices to,
Yes.
make things more beneficial for yourself without having to
Yes.
continuously
Exactly.
buy into.
And a bit less focused on consumption, but more on that, like studies show, is not really making us happy, but the things that actually do make us happy, which are these small achievements, like, okay, I grow my vegetables, and then at one point I have a fennel that and like those things actually do make us happy as people. But it's yeah, it's not always easy for people to start making those choices.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, but I think it's really nice the examples you gave of cycling and planting a garden because it reconnects us, I think, with our physical bodies in a different way than we're used to when we're hurried through life. But it also connects us back to nature. And I think that appreciation of waiting patiently for your garden to grow puts you in touch with that. Like we have to move at a slower pace because nature does its thing on its own time. But it also reminds us that there's a reason for seasons and certain things come with the seasons, and there's a lot to be appreciated from that. And that, as much as sometimes it gets hard to go through winter where it's darker, but the spring is just around the corner and that'll bring something new and fresh. And I think that's really important in today's society where we kind of pass through things. And like you said, with the bike, you're seeing the world through a whole different lens. And that's really important to remember.
I mean, I think something else that's good, even if you have like a balcony and you're growing your own tomatoes or whatever, like to be able to watch them grow and to see, okay, it takes 3 months to grow peppers or whatever, you gain a deeper appreciation for what you're buying at the store. And then you value that more instead of throwing it out because it's, it's.
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure. And it tastes better and well, it should. Yeah. And for me also, yeah, I don't know if it's because I live in the mountains, because I think in the end you can do it everywhere. But foraging, for example, is another example that I really, really love. When it's mushroom time or berry
Blueberry season.
time or whatever, it doesn't matter. But it's again also that, as you said, the connection to nature, but in a respectful way, and still also yeah, getting away from that everything needs to be bought, and it's an experience that you're gaining, and it's so much fun also.
Yeah. It's a fantastic experience and something great if you have kids, which I know you do and we do. So that's a great opportunity.
Yeah, we would always have a random fruit or vegetable that we would plant every year. And one time it was corn and it grew all the way up to the neighbors. But it didn't bear any fruit or anything, but it was just interesting for the kids to watch everything grow.
Yeah.
It's a good
It
process.
is. And I think for all people it is, and then sure, you need to get your hands dirty. So that's the mindset change that of course people need to make that are not used to that. Nature is not clean and then
No.
but that's okay, and
Yeah.
also a little physical exercise like on your bike and a bit of sweating or maybe a bit of rain. We need to embrace that that's life, but people have become too comfortable, but at the same time not super happy, I think. And it's only through these kind of concrete things that you also get something back. And a lot of it is also community, I feel. This is also one thing we try to do with GreenUp, is build community, create moments where people can exchange, collaborate, learn from each other, build upon each other. I think that's so important.
Yeah. I think the community piece, like you just said, and also the citizen piece and citizens being engaged and active and feeling like they have a purpose and a place within a society. And a lot of times that has to do with helping in those hands-on projects. So I think that's really a key part of it. Before we move on, I wanted to touch on one more thing you said, because it's something that we talk about quite a lot. And that is the philosophy of when is enough enough? And why do we keep this need for growing? And is this a topic that you talk about with GreenUp? This constant need to grow and always get more and better. And is this issues that you talk about?
Yes, yes. We do, and it's kind of the base of this less is more is actually that growth is not necessarily needed. But very concretely, we actually have we do these talks as part of the Go Simple program. And in April, we have a talk about degrowth. And it's something like alternative ways of seeing things is something that yeah, is definitely important for what we stand for. Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's really important to discuss that because I
Yeah.
think
With being still being respectful, right?
Sure.
Of how many people do see the world, but also that there are alternatives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really key. And also to question, does every aspect of our life constantly have to grow or expand? So that's really nice.
I mean, I think it's a very valid point for everything in the environment, right? I mean, the world's not growing, 5%, 10% every year. It's what we have is what we have. So idealistically, there's no way that we can keep that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not sustainable in the long run.
Yeah.
Something you said on your website, and I wanted to ask about it because I thought it was really interesting. And this was taken directly from the GreenUp website. And it says when 25% of the population makes changes, we can create a shift. So could you expand on that and talk about what's the magic behind the 25%?
Well, I remember that number was something we we found when we started to kind of rethink our strategy a little bit. That was back in, I think, 2018. Like, what do we really stand for? And we saw that number. Like, if you really can, either you get like the small change makers, but only when you get at least this 25% will society really change. So that got us to think that we probably need the change makers to then empower the rest. But then we felt, okay, we want to bring sometimes change makers together, but we actually really want to focus on getting to that bigger part of the population that can also act and do, and then together we get there.
Yeah. And that makes me think of something that I heard at an event. And they said, it's really lovely that when we look out into the audience at events, we see familiar faces, but sometimes we feel like we're failing because we're not getting the people who we don't see all the time. We're not meeting new people. We're not engaging people within the community that might benefit the most from this. So does that feel like a challenge you face with GreenUp and Go Simple?
Yes.
Okay.
Always. I
Yeah.
think that's always a challenge. But we also always try to think of ways that we can get out of the bubble. Or very consciously know that there are some moments that's actually okay to be in the bubble. But with Go Simple, that's actually one of the programs where we do try that out, and we do see the first kind of pilot that we run was a lot of first movers that were pretty sustainable. And now we're seeing that we have a diversity of people always joining the program. And then we also, have different formats. So one of the things that we do is a workshop with companies, as I said. And that is, of course, also getting into an environment where you have a lot of diversity. So it might be that there are a few that are very, very aware, but there are usually also some people that are really at the start of this. So it's a very interesting dynamics usually with corporate workshops that we have. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great setting.
I'm curious, the diversity of the group in corporate settings, what brings these people to that
And that
meeting?
can be very different. So it could
Yeah,
be their boss that decides because of
we're doing some
reaching,
initiative or something, or
yeah, or because of reaching some sustainability targets. Okay, let's do an employee engagement workshop. That
okay,
could be. It could also be meaningful team building.
okay,
It really depends on the
so it varies quite a
organization.
bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then sometimes we also know that it's not necessarily them that have decided on the type of the workshop or how it's going to be run. Last year we did also one with lerende, like interns from a company. That was also really interesting because they are at the start of their
Yeah,
career,
they haven't
and
been
they're very
exposed to it
young,
yet.
and they're not necessarily interested in it, but their company thought this is important that you know that. And
Okay,
so, yeah, that's
that's
interesting.
interesting.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's great to engage the youth. It's something we're really passionate about, is that it's not just an adult issue. It affects everybody, all generations. So
Yeah.
it's great that, yeah, companies see the value in that. And the projects, you kind of alluded to this earlier, but you run a lot of diverse projects. You mentioned the clothing swaps in Ticino. I noticed online you had something about promoting vegan eating with, was it a local restaurant or a chef?
That was something that I think we did around Christmas during the COVID period once, that we had like this, it was called Tavolata Felice, and was showing that actually also around Christmas, there are lots of cool options for plant-based food. Yes.
Yeah.
So plant-based food is one of the things, like food is one of our topics. It comes back in a lot of the workshops that we do. Go Simple, of course, as a food component. And within that, of course, the discussion around plant-based food, and now we introduce often also the planetary health diet, is a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And food is a great topic because, as we saw today in the Go Simple workshop, we all were tasked to make a recipe. And it just was a great way to have a conversation and get to talk to people. And then the children were involved. So it was really nice. It's very engaging, very hands-on.
Very sociable and interactive.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Yeah, it was really nice. So, yeah, that's a fantastic way to do it. And then you also, a big part of, I think, what you're starting to get more involved in is the World Economic Forum. And can you just share a little bit about how you're getting involved, what you're doing, why it's such an important platform or area for you to focus on?
Well, we kind of work where we see an opportunity or where something can come to exist. So Go Simple, we started in Basel because we felt Basel was the right city for it. And then we found really as a great partner, the canton of Basel. And then me living in Davos, I experience every year the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum that has a big impact on the town. And so we are there, I'm there. So Davos is one of our hubs. We're also in Zurich, we're also in Basel, in Lausanne, in Lugano. But being there, I approached the World Economic Forum saying, look, we're a sustainability organization, we're in Davos, maybe we can support somehow. And this is actually how that relation came into being with the World Economic Forum. And we started out actually working more on how can we avoid waste, or try to make sure that resources that are brought in only for that week can be reused. So this is the project that we started on. That's called Green Share, and we still run it. And then 2 years ago, also through talking to different organizations and by experiencing also that there was a lack of focus on climate and nature in Davos, in the conversations and events that are being held. And so we got the opportunity to start a climate hub. So, alongside the World Economic Forum's annual meeting, outside of the conference center, there are lots of events that are being run. And now we created this event space called the Climate Hub, with really a focus on nature and climate for that week, which is open. So that's one of the things that is quite uncommon in Davos, that usually it's invite only, or you need a badge, or all these things. And we wanted to create a space where companies, but also nonprofits, academia, can kind of gather, do sessions, and meet up and learn from each other around climate and nature. And so that's what we've been doing now for the second year.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I like the concept of it being open.
Yes. And
It's
that's
neat.
not easy for people to understand.
Yeah.
Actually, for some of the partners that we work with, then we tell them, look, it's fine and great actually that you're bringing in your network, but we want, usually it really depends on the partner, but at least a minimum seats to be open for anyone to take them, and also the people of Davos, or anyone else that's there for that matter. And we also work a lot with, we have this square in front of the Climate Hub, and there we integrate also other initiatives. So this year there was a statue of the homeless entrepreneur, who has been trying to get attention for his cause for many years in Davos. So yeah, we're really kind of a different voice in Davos in during that week.
That's fantastic. I commend you for that effort, because it's probably, like you said, it's not the norm, but it's a nice addition to.
Yeah. But I have to say that one of the advantages that we have, or that I have living there, is that I know the town really well. I work really well with the city of Davos, and they are, beside the World Economic Forum, they're one of the major partners. And because of that, we can be in the best space that Davos has to offer, which is the cultural center. And that's just, so we really recreate that into a regenerative space for that week. And this feeling that we hope to have also created a little bit today, of this openness and sharing, and we try to recreate it even there, and people pick up on that. So it's really literally a regenerative space. We have lots of green there, and people sense that, and we're really all very open to people.
Yeah. That's
I would imagine
fantastic.
the logistics around an event like that, with security and everything, to make
Well,
it an
that's
open space, it's quite a challenge.
well, we actually, that has been a discussion for 2 years now.
yeah.
Do we need security? And we still came to the conclusion even this year that no, we do not, because that's not what we
Yeah.
that's not the type of culture that we want to create. Of
Yeah.
course, we check people that come in. It's not like, oh, whomever can
They're
just
checked
like
before
walk
they enter the town.
in. But it's more about actually that people see eye to eye,
Yeah.
and yeah, preferably also talk to each other without titles or anything,
Yeah.
like a climate activist is just as important for solving this problem as is the chief sustainability officer of a big company.
Yeah.
And they should be able to speak to each other and learn from each other.
Yeah. It's good.
It's fantastic. And something also with the World Economic Forum, before we close out this topic, is you have a program and a concept called Green Share. And can you talk to us a bit about that? Because I think it's a fantastic concept, but I think it's a concept that can also lend itself to so many other forums, big events.
Congress meetings.
Congress meetings. Robert just saw this firsthand in the
Dubai.
in Dubai. But there is a lot of waste that can be generated from such events. So can you tell us about Green Share?
Yes. So the idea is very simple. It's just to try to create partnerships with all the event organizers and make sure that with whatever excess materials or furniture or plants they're bringing in for, in this case, that week, they don't need any more afterwards, or they don't have storage for that, and it's still good, they can pass on to us, and we give it out locally to local organizations or private schools and whatever. Yeah.
That's great. So previously that stuff may not have had a home, or would
No,
it go
not
somewhere else?
necessarily. I think there were always initiatives. I mean, the World Economic Forum itself already, I think, worked with OFCOT
Okay.
for several years, but it was never as much coordinated as so I see now after 4 years that in the beginning it was like the main partners were the World Economic Forum and a local event company, and by now I see just more and more that try to find us. But on the other hand, for me the goal is actually now to start really on circularity and actually thinking more around models whereby that waste doesn't even come to exist, right? Because yeah, it's a bit absurd. So then it's more about renting and that people don't buy new things. Like I hear crazy stories every year again, and we don't know everything that happens, of course. But I really would like to start inspiring people that that's not needed. But yeah, there are crazy stories about, well, you're talking about Dubai, that there was an organization or from from that region, from the Middle East, that bought like a huge table for the events, but when they then saw it, said, no, that's not really what we want. Can you get rid of it?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And that's, is not possible. And for me, a lot has to do with how can we change that perspective on branding and always, the right colors and the right things. It's not important. Like you can reuse, and people sit on the chairs from last year and they'll still have their connects, but there's always this perfectionism and screaming colors and yeah. So interestingly enough, we started with the Green Share project, and now we're also an event organization with the Climate Hub.
Oh.
But there we're trying to give an example of how one could also run things. So there, what we do is we only serve plant-based food. We work together with Ofcot on all the materials that are exposed there. So yeah, we try in that to inspire others, like how it could also be done. And there are actually some event companies that are really trying to push now for different approaches. The difference, I think, is you were talking about other fora and events that can learn from that. The difference that I know is that in Davos, there is no central coordination for this. So the events are all run by different event companies at the request of clients, big companies or countries or states. And it's there, the only coordination there needs to be is that you need to have a permit from the city of Davos. But it's not like one festival that's, it's one,
Yes.
and there is a central coordination, and they can also more easily impose certain rules, like, okay, we don't have disposable cups, or we only have reusable cutlery or stuff like that. And here it really depends on each single organization how they manage that.
Oh.
So
And so something I'm extracting from this, and I think is a general principle of sustainability per se, is that if you make it easy and accessible for people, they're really inclined to do the right thing or to look at it in a different way. If you say, well, we're an organization that will come in and help you find a home for this so that it's responsible.
Yes. I mean, and that's also, of course, one of the reasons why they're happy that then we're there. And this is what I say, that then we become the coordination point, that events and especially that week, everything needs to be fast, so the events are run, and then on Friday afternoon everybody wants to pack up and preferably end of the weekend already be back home. And so yes, they're super happy that we have a van, electric, and that can come by and pick up stuff. So
Right.
yes, you make it easy for them. Sometimes I do think it's also then not enough pressure. So this is my next move. Okay, how can I now pressure into that actually we're not needed anymore, and that they really already have thought things through, or that we're only there for whatever. It's really, really difficult to discard, but that's the
Yeah.
next step.
Well-
Do you see that taking place with policies from, let's say, the city of Davos on hosting these events, where they start saying you have to do X, Y, and
Yes,
Z?
there is more and more.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it's apparently it's legally very difficult to impose certain things. It has, for example, around mobility and transport, like everything is blocked with limousines, and it's just really crazy that week. And apparently that also has to do with the rights to drive through, and the public road needs to be open. I don't know exactly, but it's very complicated somehow to impose things, whereas like a one festival or thing, it's easier. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, no, they have worked on you cannot do any oil heating anymore for external pavilions, and they're working more and more, I think, also on the waste management. So yes.
Mm.
Okay.
I think it's on everybody's minds. It's just not it's not easy to implement.
Yeah. That's great. Okay. We'll transition out of the World Economic Forum, but our big and kind of final question to you, Nicole, is all organizations, whether they're for-profit, non-for-profit, in the sustainability sector, the regenerative sector, they all face obstacles. How do you overcome obstacles? Because they're always there. Or how do you view them?
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, one obstacle I would say is financial resources.
yeah, yes, this is a common theme. This is
I know,
yes.
I know. Everybody
Oh,
says that.
yes.
But another one is not maybe being appreciated or valued for the work that you do. Um, and yeah, both are definitely things to deal with. What I just see more and more is that I really want us to be like taken seriously, and I really push for that. But you have to um, be very persistent sometimes into continuously putting the right message, and sometimes you have to take steps back and swallow like, okay, it's not going to fly this time. Okay, we'll see next time. And it's not always easy to refine that energy all the time, and sometimes it makes you, yeah, you get upset when people are not taking you seriously, for example. Um, but then there is another moment, and that's good with GreenUp, is that we, of course, we are very, we have different activities that we do. And sometimes then maybe in one city it doesn't work, and then somewhere else you have a big success, and so one thing can lift up the other maybe.
Yeah.
But it's always about, yeah, refining that energy again to continue. And I think the way I do it is that somehow I try to really look for the positive people around me that then can help me
Mm-hmm.
do that, achieve that. And then somebody comes in maybe for a year or maybe longer, and you need that. You need this community of people that can then say, okay, come on, let's do that. A group of volunteers, for example, locally. Um, my colleague Jenna in Ticino has a rough time because there it's really seen differently than maybe in German speaking part of Switzerland, sustainability. And so she also, tries to gather people around her that do believe in it. And then slowly, now we have the canton of Ticino that we're doing an event with. So, yeah, you have to find your allies and then show. You have to, that's the only thing that I always think works. You have to show people that you can do, that you walk the talk, and still also be humble about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something, the financial part is something that comes up a lot. And we always think the environment is such an important topic. Why is it not fun? Why isn't people just throwing money at it? Because it's so important and it affects everybody and globally. So that's something we see. And then I'll never forget, we were doing a program, and Caspar, who runs Rework, he's so passionate about what he does, and he does it with such tremendous heart. And he was explaining to the audience that some days it's just painful for him, because he said, I don't understand how people don't see it how I see it. And he literally, he said, it hurts me physically. And when you're so impassioned and you believe so deeply in something, it is really hard to not understand how other people can't be that passionate about it as well. But I think that passion is such a beautiful thing to bring to this space in particular. But I just remember that always staying with me when he said that, like, we can feel your pain, like we understand what you're saying. And it comes from such a genuine place.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I do think it does help to then sometimes take a step back and then kind of like I see that in Davos, for example, that people are quite conservative,
Mm.
and that you then just have to accept, okay, it will take a while before this is accepted or done, or
Yeah.
definitely I have that passion, but then I'll kind of like redirect that passion maybe in another direction
Yeah.
for a bit until I can come back. For example, we have this swap corner also in Davos during the year, and people like didn't get it and didn't want to get it. I think in the beginning they just wanted to dump their old stuff on me, and like that they buy new and then they don't use anymore after 1 year. And I'm like, no, we're a swap corner. You have to also take something, not only bring things. And it just in the beginning, I only had people from Zurich or that came in, and then now slowly, people from
Yeah.
Davos started to be interested, and they ask me for talks, and so you have to really have a long breath, but yeah, also be somehow humble and accepting that other people might take a bit
Yeah.
more time.
I
And
think, yeah.
yeah, and when it comes to the financial resources, no, I fully agree, of course, that um, it is starting to change. I feel that
Mm.
there is more and more, but for example, in Switzerland, I see that the classical philanthropy or ways of funding things are very compartmentalized. So it's like culture, sports, and that's kind of it. And then you're not culture, you're not sports. So what are you?
Mm.
And that there are a few very innovative organizations that I feel that are really funding environmental projects. But yeah, the more classic family foundations that actually financially give a lot for society, they often do not yet have that kind of third pillar or whatever you want to see environment in. And that is a problem, I think. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully, there's more awareness around it, then maybe the funding will also come.
Mm-hmm.
Hope that's a hope that we have for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nicole, before we close today, is there anything else about GreenUp, Go Simple, anything else that we neglected to ask or talk about today, or that you want to say, if this is published in time, if it's anything coming up that you're really excited about?
That is a good question. No, I'm always excited about
Everything.
everything, but I don't have like a specific big thing coming. We also always try to innovate, of course, from within the projects itself
Mm.
and try to adapt. So I was, for example, very happy. This was the first time that we did Go Simple in English.
Mm.
Um, and I did feel that this is probably something that fits us really well because we're an association that somehow attracts a lot of people that are living in Switzerland with the same passion, but not necessarily are Swiss. And I think with that, now we found a little bit our second, yeah, where we match somehow with the people. So it was really nice, for example, today to experience that hey, that is something that where we connect well with people that are not necessarily from the country. Also, still doing local projects, as I
Mm.
said, in Ticino, in Davos, and in Lausanne. But yeah, somehow acknowledging that we are that organization that is in all parts of the country and also kind of for all the people that are not necessarily from here but are here and want to change
Mhm.
things.
Yeah.
So I think that also took maybe some time to understand like what are our key assets as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a trial and error, and you're always growing and evolving and testing the waters and seeing what works and doesn't. And I think that's great that you're trying different areas. And that's the nice thing about running different projects in different spaces
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Robert, do you have anything before we go to our
No, nothing.
lightning or rapid fire round? Okay. So you live in a beautiful part of Switzerland, and so it's an alpine region for those that are not familiar with Switzerland. But what is something that you're most passionate about in terms of the environmental side or the nature side?
Of living in
Yeah,
Davos.
yeah.
Hey, it's amazing that I kind of live close to the center, but in 5 minutes I'm up a mountain path and I can just go out in the afternoon, especially in summers, and just take a hike or go look for some blueberries. And yeah, it's the mountain for me. I'm Dutch, right? So it's very flat country,
Yes.
but the mountains are never boring, like in any season, in any moment. And I just feel very lucky that I can live there. And yeah, as I said, enjoy now when there is snow, but also in the fall when the leaves are coloring, and yeah. So it's a privilege, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the mountains are always so dynamic. It's something that we really love about being in the mountains is that you can look up 1 minute and you could be really socked in with fog and see nothing. And then you kind of turn and then you look again and then you might just see a little bit of a peak, but it's so beautiful. And then you turn again and then it's revealing more of itself. And it's always, I don't know, it's just such a beautiful opportunity to see that and be a part of it. So we
Yeah.
can totally relate. And what are you most optimistic about for the future?
In general.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Um, I just see a big willingness in a lot of people to change things
Mm.
for the good and have that reconnect to nature, but also to other people, just to live more again, simple and community based and help each other. I think, I mean, this is what I see. Of course, I know on the back end that there is also a whole group of people that are still big shoppers and I don't know, always on their phones and but I do see also this other development, and that gives me hope. Yeah, that we can make it together.
Hmm. That's super. Um, what is one thing that you think everyone can do today that would have an impact,
So
a positive impact?
yes, so I think it's very simple. It's consume less, like in buy less new things, and really think with every new thing that you think you might need, do I really need it? Is there an alternative? Does my neighbor not have it and can lend it to me? Do I really need a second pair of sport shoes? So I think that's just questioning without like torturing yourself, right? If you do need it, fine, then it's fine. And then buy high quality so that it lasts and that it can be repaired or whatever. But yeah, be really mindful about that. That is, I think, one thing that we can all do. And also the kind of the question that connects to is that, like, will it really make me happier to have to have that? And then if it does, like, I like this thing that Mary Kondo says, like, if you have an emotional connection to it, fine, keep it. But if not, and yeah, then don't. But even I, like, it's not easy. That's, I know that we're all part of this society. So then it's always like, oh, well, I saw that with the Green Share project that then we have things donated, of course, that we then give out. Like we had, I don't know, like 100 blankets, and then they're new, and then everybody's like, "Oh, so cool! Can I have 5? Can I?" And I'm like, "Do you really need all those blankets? What are you like? What are you need?" And then Nicole, "Are you not taking?" I'm like, "No, I don't need it." But of course, when you see, like, your eye just falls to it. Oh,
Yeah.
a nice new green blanket. Yeah, and then, but what would I need it for? No, I don't really need it. Okay, put it back. And that's just that thought that people just do that a little bit more and we consume less in that sense, that would be really good.
Yeah. And it's a very practical, something very practical in it.
Well, even asking yourself, can I live without, like, try living without it for a week or a month?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? It changes your perspective,
Yes.
because in a month you either forget about it or you're like, yeah, I absolutely need it. So
Yes. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's okay. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, exactly. Is
Yeah.
it something I use? Is it something I need? And not only for new things, it's good also for secondhand,
for
that
the green
maybe
blanket.
for the green blanket, or that somebody just says, "Oh, now we have a great, I don't know, table. Do you want it? Free." No, I don't really need it.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's just be more conscious, I think, about
Yeah.
that.
That's a good one. What book has had the greatest impact on you? It's hard to say one, I know.
I
Especially
don't read that as much as I would like these days. And when I do, I tend to kind of read like more easy, light things. But I really, really loved a book that my cousin gave me a few years ago. That was, oh, I would need to probably send you the name, but something about the last tree or tree line. And it really described like the story of trees, and then to that connected actually what is happening on our earth, and then with the permafrost going away and what the impact of that is. And it just really clicked with me. So I would say that one.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. And this is a question we ask everyone, and it's always so interesting to us to get the answer because everyone has a really gut reaction to this. But do you believe that one person has the power to impart positive change?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do, yes. I don't think people can do it alone. That's another thing, but I do think that yes.
Yeah. That's
Mhm.
good. Yeah, there's no right or wrong answer to
No,
that. And yeah,
I
it's just we've had these lovely conversations with people, and some of it is like, absolutely not. And of course. And so it's really
Yeah.
nice to ask it.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
our reason, or my reason for asking it, is that sometimes we do feel alone or isolated.
For sure.
But the idea is that to start a movement or to make a positive change, I think it usually starts from an idea of a person who then collects a group of people to probably stand behind them. But then I think also there have been one single person in my life who's had a tremendous impact on me. So that was one person, not part of a group, not a movement. So I do think it's quite possible, but it's always nice to ask to hear different people's thoughts and opinions on that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I do think it's possible.
Yeah, that's good. Well, Nicole, we thank you for your time. Again, it's been a super long day and it's still going for you, and you still have to get home. So thank you so much for your time, for the work you're doing. We always leave and feel really inspired by the people we've had the time to sit down with. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for this opportunity. I
Yeah.
wrote you when you asked me. I feel honored to be in it, and
That's nice.
still
Yeah.
how I feel. So thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
We hope you have enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to be awesome and share this podcast with your friends. Click subscribe, rate, and review. Do you have a story to tell? An organization you'd like to tell the world about? We love to hear from you and our global community. So please get in touch with us at reVyven.com. That's reVyven.com. Or send us an email at reVyven.com@gmail.com.